In Islam, the place of women is a miserable one, unfortunately. However, you find that millions of people are happy to nonetheless embrace Islam without critically thinking and allowing God to speak to them. The first reason why a woman should not belong to Islam is the fact that a woman can be married off as a child. Don't forget, Aisha's age was 6 years old. And for a prophet to marry a 6 years old child, when he didn't have to, because he had other wives, and also to have sex with a 9-year-old child is a problem. So that's a very bad example. Now, when you look at the Hadith, Muslim 1422, and also Sahih Bukhari 4840, you find that this phenomenon was rampant and is still prevalent today among Muslims. The second reason why a woman should not consider being a Muslim has to do with polygamy. You have to ask yourself whether you are okay with polygamy. The Bible is against polygamy. Yes, in the Old Testament you see David, you see Moses, you see people in the Old Testament doing so. But we as Christians with the new covenant, we are not allowed to marry more than one. Now, when you go to the Quran, chapter 4, verse 3, you are going to find that even you are allowed as a Muslim to marry your slave or a woman captured in battle. And that's so unfortunate. Ask yourself whether you are willing to be married outside other women. Now, let's assume there's one woman or the man has a sexually transmitted disease. Everybody in that union, polygamous union, becomes contracted. It's such a shameful practice to be even attached to God. The third reason why a woman shouldn't consider being a Muslim is the fact that in the Hadith, you find the Hadith, the book 49, the Hadith 10 of the Sunan An-Nasai 5388, that a woman's brain is lesser than that of a male. That's an insult. Muslims will tell you, oh, in Islam, we are all equal. We are all equal. But then they will tell you, you are limited from leadership positions. You are limited from leading a people group. There are certain rules that you cannot play and so on because of the deficiency in the brain. Now, even a woman's witness is even lesser than that of a man's witness. That is such a humiliation that Islam enjoins on women. The fourth reason why, as a woman, you shouldn't consider even being a Muslim is found in Quran chapter 56, verse 22, and also in the Hadith 2687, that a woman is a reward for a man in paradise. So there's a phenomenon of 72 virgins in the Hadith for a man, and a woman is supposed to be a reward for a man. Now, you have to ask yourself, what is a reward for a woman? Now, let's move on to the fifth reason why you shouldn't consider being a Muslim. Now, you are also forced to dress in a certain way. Yes, the Quran has dress codes for women, but where from the niqab? When you go to Afghanistan, when you go to places in Pakistan, women are actually in cotton cages where there are only tiny, tiny holes that you can see there. They can breathe through. You ask yourself, where in the Hadith or where in the Quran allows that? Now, if you are a woman in Europe and in America, you'll be tempted to think that, oh, this is how Islam is all over. In Morocco, in freer countries like Morocco, in Abu Dhabi, Qatar, because of the impact of Western civilization, there's a moderation. But in the real Sharia state, you'll be compelled to cover your whole body. Don't mistake the freedom in Europe and America as a reflection of true Islam. The sixth reason why you shouldn't become a Muslim as a woman is because you are allowed to be beaten. You are allowed to be beaten. Now, a man, you are a property of the man, and you are allowed to be beaten. According to the Quran, chapter 4, verse 34, a man is allowed to discipline you. Ask yourself this question: where in the Hadith, where in the Sunnahs, are you also allowed to discipline a man if he goes wayward? If a man can discipline a woman, why can't a woman discipline a man? It's so uncalled for. The seventh reason why you shouldn't consider being a Muslim has to do with that your choices You need permission from your parents and from your husband to do play certain roles or do certain things or own certain properties. Why that permission? Why shouldn't your husband also come seeking your permission to do certain things? So it means that the man is placed over you perpetually, and that is uncalled for. Now, number 8, and this significantly the most important one. There is no scholar who can vividly tell you from the hadith of the Quran the type of rewards that women get in paradise. Ask yourself that question. Where is it? Let them show you from one verse, from the Quran or the hadith, just one verse that tells you about the reward systems for women in paradise. And then number 9, a woman can be made a sex slave. In the Quran chapter 4 verse 24, it encourages that women captured in battle can be made slaves. You are allowed to do so. Don't let anybody quote any Old Testament verse to justify that, because a Christian is not bound by the Old Testament. Our covenant is with Jesus Christ, and Jesus never allows that. And then finally, both in the Quran and also in the life of the prophet, women are dishonored. Are dishonored. Now, just like we saw in Quran chapter 4, verse 34, you are supposed to be taken care of by a man. You are like a property of a man. And that is why the prophet would have sex with Aisha, even when Aisha was playing with dolls. That is such a dishonor for a woman. God bless you. Come to Jesus and you will be saved. Amen.